All right, and we will start tonight's meeting at 6 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to February 10th Willow City Council regular meeting. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Chief Monk, will you please lead us?
Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
and to the republic
which stands
and
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Perfect. Next up, we will have roll call.
Mayor Hudson,
Present.
Vice Mayor Thomas,
Here.
Councilmember Hanson,
Here.
Councilmember Pride. Here. Councilmember Busby.
Here.
Thank you.
Item 4, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, there is. Item 5A, the Fambilli Biomass Facility Project will have to be continued to a future meeting. The presenters had a scheduling conflict and are unable to make it tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, with that, we will go on to presentation item 5B, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Program Income. And we will pass it over to Joe Betancourt, Community Development and Services Director.
Really quick, I just wanted to introduce this item. As the council may recall, this CDBG programming income is the result of Rumiano Cheese paying off their community development block grant loan, and the payoff was about 1.6 million. We've used a little bit of it for a project already, but the bulk of those funds are still remaining. And so this is just to have a conversation with the council about some of the options for spending those income monies and starting to think about the kinds of projects the council might want to initiate. So with that, I'll hand it over to Joe.
Thanks, Marty. Joe Betancourt, Community Development Services. So as Marty mentioned, we'll be talking about program income today and looking for input for you guys to decide what we want to spend it on. Next slide. So what we'll be going over today is program income snapshot, what's available after our small ADA door project, eligible infrastructure projects under low mod area benefit, eligible facility infrastructure project under limited clientele, and recommended next steps for selecting a project. So there's 3 pots of money. I'll try to get through this quick on the basic overview, as we feel like we've done this a lot lately. The one we're going to be looking at today is the low mod area benefit and the limited clientele benefit. Low mod area is a greater than 51% low mod population, which we currently have, and the limited clientele serves a presumed low mod client group. Next slide. Here's the snapshot of funding. So I've already mentioned the original was about 1.6 with interest, and over time we've got that up to 1,961,482. We have our ADA door project slated to be approximately 188,000, leaving us $1,773,482 left after the ADA door project. Next slide. As I mentioned before, we are low mod eligible. This means we are area-wide qualified for improvements. Because we're 51.3% low mod, many citywide infrastructure projects can be structured to qualify under LMA. That sidewalk projects, every piece of our city can be covered under LMA. Sidewalks, roads, sewers, storm drains. Like I mentioned, some LMA projects could be street, sidewalks, curb ramps, crosswalk upgrades, related drainage improvements, water, sewer, drainage and sewer lines, mains, lifts, treatment components, and public facility improvements. Basically, we can improve parks, community center, libraries, safety and accessibility upgrades to public spaces, lighting, pathways, accessibility features, and land acquisition for public uses for parks. So being low mod, we've kind of got our major categories of street and regular infrastructure, and then public facility, including parks and other public spaces. So to talk about a little bit, we haven't discussed this much in the past, but this is the limited clientele eligible projects. These can be good infrastructure projects. I will note off the gate that a lot of these need a program to run them after the fact. So where we could go in and build a senior center, we could go and build a domestic violence shelter, a place to serve disabled persons. we would need to have somebody to run that program on a continual basis. We can't just build the building and hope for it to come. If we don't actually have a program set up, like a Boys and Girls Club or some other program to go in there and do that, we're no longer meeting our national objective, and that funding is at risk of having to be paid back. So there is a little more chance in building some of those types of places that serve a specific population. Here's some things that could be requested that don't fit. Buildings used for the general conduct of government. So while we could do a project for ADA door upgrades to fix our parking lot for the public, fix our entrances for the public, we can't redo our personal bathroom and behind our computer stations. So it's got to be for public benefit. A room like that might qualify if we were doing, say, some new seating and things like that. May not qualify if we're trying to redo your guys' dais. So keep those things in mind. Operating and maintenance costs don't count. Lease of construction equipment, purchase of furnishings and personal items, and new construction of public housing. One of the last ones there that we'll talk about in a little bit. This is something that is eligible, but HCD has to give you the thumbs up before you proceed. And that example would be a fire apparatus. So now we'll get into some of the previously discussed CDBG projects that we've talked about. Originally, we came to you for competitive applications, and the two main projects we looked at were purchase of a fire truck and sidewalk rehabilitation. With that, Chief Munt gave me some numbers. The fire truck cost is approximately $1.4 million, but they got some funding that is hopefully coming through from Congressman LaMalfa in the amount of $660,000. That leaves approximately $740,000 remaining. That could be eligible to be covered by the program income. They also have a fire reserve, equipment reserve fund that has approximately $200,000 in there. So for an example, for the fire truck, it wouldn't be the whole piece of it. It could be anywhere from $740,000 to $540,000. Another piece that we've talked about is sidewalk rehabilitation. We previously applied for this in 2024 and are currently applying for it in 2025 for $3.3 million. If we are not awarded, a portion of this could go to that sidewalk rehab, or it could also be used to supplement to perform additional work in addition to the grant. There's some other considerations. Ones I like to stay away from with this amount of money would be sewer, storm drain, and roads. I don't think we've got enough cash unless it comes as a supplement to other funding to really have a good cost benefit ratio. We know how much roads cost. We absolutely know how much sewer line costs and lift stations. Where we could do some work, it would not be, I don't think, to the best benefit of the public. One other potential use of the funds, and we've looked at park upgrades for this. A portion of the funding, I think, could be well used to make some modifications. We've looked at safety of our parks in recent presentations and really upgrade them in ways that you guys see fit. There's land acquisition for parks as well, so there is the ability to have new parks come in. My recommendation would be to shore up the ones that we have currently before we move on to park expansion. So with that, that concludes my presentation and review of recommendations, and I'll open it up for discussion or questions and comments.
Okay, thank you. As normal, I'll start with Vice Mayor Thomas.
Not at this time.
Okay, Councilmember Pride.
I'm just looking at page 7 of 46, where it's talking about how CDBG projects qualify, and the purple item is prevent and eliminate blight. So is that something that the reuse funds could be used for?
It is. It's noted on there that it's typically less used for. So prevention and elimination of blight. I think there's some pretty strict criteria in order to meet that. Not saying that it's impossible. Urgent need is usually where you need a cease and desist, like on a water order or something like that. So that one's really specific. But the preventative elimination of blight can be used, and we may have a better case for it because we also have a 51% low mod population.
I was just thinking of the Tower Theater
Mm-hmm.
building, just been an eyesore downtown for a long time. And maybe a way to do something with that if it's all salvageable and obtain the parking. And I think I saw something where they've reached out, the current owners kind of reached out and is trying to make something happen with that building. So that was the reason for that
Yeah,
question.
absolutely. And I've never dealt using that pot of money because it's always either been through my experience that we are low mod or we're going through an ADA limited clientele project. So, you know, when you get into the elimination of the blight, I think what you're crossing into that's different than the regular one is the private ownership of it, right? So, but us having those other things as background in addition to those could help support that case.
And then secondly, in terms of parks, I've just recently had several people ask why we don't have a dog park. And I don't know, as we look at Sycamore Park, if there's a potential to just even fence off an area of that as a dog park, it would make several people happy.
There was conversation at one point about, I think with the vice mayor about possibly a dog park at the lot that the city owns at French and French.
Mentioned,
Yes, right, correct. Because it's not huge. It's almost like a little bigger than a pocket park, but it could be a useful site. And I mean, we own it and I don't know what it's not really big enough to build a house on. I don't know what we would use it other than just maybe sell it. But also there are no parks north of 162, which is another thing that would be sort of a plus about doing something there.
I just know when you look at Sycamore Park, most people have their dogs off leash and they're running in that large area that would just be directly west of the skateboard park, you know, and it's just kind of a big open space. And I mean, if it's putting up a fence, I mean, I don't know what else is required for a dog park, but you know, maybe a little bit of both. But
Yeah.
anyway, just something if it's not on the radar for the dog park, maybe that could be looked at.
Absolutely. And we do have that original discussion of the dog park came out, I think, when we were looking at development impact fees, because we've got some money there. I didn't want to broach this subject, but I'm going to do it now. So we're kind of the development impact fees, if we need them for the current Sycamore Park project, that would be obligated to that first, obviously, to make that happen. But we do have a $300,000 pool of money sitting in there if that is not needed on that project.
And then lastly, the only other thought I had as I read over this was the Boys and Girls Club, which is still looking to obtain a place to be. And I just know it talked about youth activities, site improvements for youth activities. So if Boys and Girls Club are successful in coming up with a building, you know, maybe if there's any opportunity or needs that they have, if we could help.
Absolutely. Yep. And if we have a club, then they can show commitment to that if it's established. And you guys choose to go down that route of building an infrastructure that's a basketball court or something. We've got a program to run it. That makes it a lot more, makes it a lot better look in the eyes that there is an organization that's going to take care of that in the long term.
There are definitely strings attached when we use federal funding for a project or that just needs to result in a program and somebody's got to run it. So,
Yeah.
you know, we would want to have a really solid agreement with the Boys and Girls Club to make sure that
Yeah.
was going to happen.
And that may be out of ways. How long do we have to spend this money? Is there a timeline on it?
So in looking at it, it is not to be held forever. You're not to bank it. There's no specific timeline. And I would say you're at risk of them coming and asking, you know, if you're taking too long. So
You know, it's been a year since Rumiano Cheese, almost a year. It'll be a year in like April or May, I think May, since they paid off their loan and that money's been available. And I just didn't want to see us kind of forget about it. It's easy to get caught up in the day to day and not have a conversation with the council about, you know, just starting to put building blocks in place towards expending it at some point. Because I mean, as Joe said, it is possible at some point they'll come knocking on our door and say, what are you doing with that money? And if we don't start showing some forward progress, I would hate to see city possibly lose it or portion of it or something like that. So we just didn't. I also, you know, I've found this has happened before too, that we all sort of forget about it. And then, you know, a council will come along and we're busy working and it'll be like, well, what are we doing sitting on all this money? Why isn't staff doing something? So I just get nervous about that and wanted to start having the conversation and building the blocks towards expenditure. Doesn't mean we have to do it tomorrow, but we should start making a plan, I think, soon.
And I will note too that, you know, we're currently having the application fully submitted for the 88 door upgrade. So we're on the radar as being proactive. But after that goes through, we want to
We
continue
do.
to keep going. Yes.
Well, if we do a small project, as long as we're continuing to utilize it, we
Which-
should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing I wanted to mention about the blight, and we'd have to research this, but I have in other cities worked where we applied for to fund like a full-time code inspection, code enforcement officer, and develop like a structure that's like a project that has a beginning and end. That's like sort of a blight abatement project with a hired person. And you have to, you can't just think you're going to fund ongoing forever code
Mhm.
enforcement. But if it was some confined effort and we were hiring somebody and there was like, a bunch of properties we wanted to clean up that we identified in the grant, there is a possibility of doing something like that as well. I mean, it's been done in other communities. We'd have to drill down into the details on it though, if that interested.
Councilmember Busby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think in my only question to this is I recognize that there are very, very strict guardrails for these funds. I think after seeing how Measure I is starting to stack up, and I think that how some of our expenses forecasted over the next handful of years are going to stack up, this seems like a really good opportunity to invest in something that has return for general prosperity. Like we do have a lot of really great options. I mean, I think an apparatus for the fire department is really great. A blight project would be really good in investing in the community to try to attract new business, try to attract new residents and everything like that. But I think, are there ways that we can find the line of these funds to try to invest in some form of something that creates economic development, if it's through the library, a community center, and like adult education, something like that? Like, are there programs like that that we might be able to bend these funds into investing in our citizens and not just like hard assets?
I don't believe that programs themselves are eligible under the program income portion. I know planning studies aren't, and I do not believe funding a program is the infrastructure is available to build something, to have a program run, but the program income is not eligible to be used for the program itself, if that makes sense. Kind of.
So what I'm thinking is like, hey, is there some sort of like way we can bend some of these funds to invest in, say, a portion of the library, and where, hey, if we can allocate $1 million toward this, we can sleep well at night saying we'll approve another staff member to help support that program. We'll put some of that money in, but like, hey, we've made this big investment into a facility expansion, whatever that is, to like kind of start investing in our folks.
Yeah, I think the key is with that, as long as the infrastructure is available to the public, or making that public space better, safer, or even, like I said, procuring land for new parks because they're completely public. Now, could we buy land to build a whole admin building? No, because that is not to the full public. But if the use is for the public, you're pretty safe in saying that is going to be an eligible expense.
Right on.
Absolutely, because it is if it's open to the public, like I said, we can't do behind our counter because the public can't go there, but we could do our lobby, right? And we currently are. So if those things are, and not saying that you can't do small portions of even office space to support that public piece of it as well. You just got to make sure and clarify and ask.
I mean, I think with the amount of money that is available, the two things that are kind of the easiest that are very visible to the public are improvement to existing parks or land we already own. And like we were just talking about, or the fire truck. I mean, we're both trying to do, because the fire truck doesn't need, I'm sure the fire chief would like all 1.7 million, but I don't think he needs it. And so, you could do something both. And that's something that, shows to the public we're using public funds to directly benefit you. That's very visible and very obvious, unlike maybe a lobby,
Right.
improvement, those kinds of things that would be very
Cast
evident.
as wide a net as possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a series of pocket parks, or something like that. Maybe we do some smaller parks. I mean, like I said, there's nothing north of 162. Maybe investing some time and attention in French and Butte and maybe another small pocket park that, you start spreading the park love around, right?
That's all I have. Thank you.
I'll add one more point here real quick too, just because we haven't talked about it, but for infrastructure upgrades of any kind, even though this is cash in hand on our end of it, not a competitive application, we would still need the full plan development up to a certain point, the engineer's estimate. So we do have those background costs on things like parks, if we have that diff fee, and it's an eligible piece of what the development impact fee would cover, then we've got a funding source outside of general fund to do that. RSTP for sidewalks possibly. So there are those things, but just another thing to keep in mind.
So the more passive the park is, less money in engineering, right?
Councilmember Hanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Oh, thank you, Joe, for the presentation and for the information. Very informative. Yeah, we have so many needs, right? So many needs, and 1.7 million. So I like hip shooting, but I'm not going to shoot from the hip here because there are just so many needs, and everybody, colleagues have identified all valid needs. If the sidewalk, if our current sidewalk application is not successful, that'd be a great use of it, all of it or some of it. I mean, we're going to need to replace truck 4, our ladder, right? Next, we've got some hopefully funding lined up to replace engine 2, but that's another critical need. I mean, so the targeted code enforcement, I like that. That's great. Or maybe several projects. But anyway, thank you. We've got a lot to think about. So my question is, I didn't see anything in here about where the funds are sitting. Are they in an interest-bearing account? I hope. Is it accruing interest that we can utilize?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, that's why we were
Good.
saying at the beginning that the actual loan amount was lower than what was until we used it for the doors. The loan amount was lower than what is actually in the account.
Yeah, very good. What type of, what's it invested in currently?
I honestly don't know
Okay.
off the top of my head. I'd have to
All right, okay.
talk to Andy about it.
That might have been a cheap shot question. I'm sorry. We weren't prepared for it, but it's a bearing interest. So that's good. It's good. So, okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for the information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I had.
Perfect. Thank you. Vice Mayor Thomas, would you like to go before I go?
Yeah, I just had one thought. We've been talking about EV charging stations downtown to attract economic activity downtown on the Willowalk parking lot along Sycamore Street. If that's something that would qualify and that actually generates revenue, city could be win-win. And I don't know whether that actually applies, but I think with some growth downtown and a couple dispensaries and some other activities, bringing folks downtown to charge their vehicles and they walk around and get the grocery restaurant shops might be win-win all the way around. It's just a thought.
Interesting question. I absolutely do not know the answer to that on the infrastructure cost of being available for a charging. And I'll look into that so it can be available for you guys to consider if it is.
That's it.
I'm going to throw another one out there, and I don't know if this question's been answered or asked already. Can this be used towards our law enforcement?
I'm sorry.
Can this be used towards our law enforcement? We have a strong need for it. So that's a huge need that we have.
Not
Public safety.
I know,
So-
not the contract itself. If we did get to a point of building infrastructure,
Mhm.
potentially public space within that infrastructure could be handled by that. So not the evidence locker, right? But the lobby, the expansion of it. So minimally, I would say, because police departments have so much of their square footage that has locked it down.
Right. I was thinking more of which along, cost of vehicles increase, and because I thought this money was allowed to be used to, if we were able to provide more jobs in the community. Is that not, am I incorrect in thinking that?
You are correct in that. So the job creation part of it. So Rumiano cheese was a job creation.
Mhm.
What it is though, is you have to certify somebody, like actually go in and interview people, see what they're making and certify that they're low income in order to get money to upgrade the private infrastructure.
Oh,
for
so it
that
has to be
cost.
private infrastructure only.
Y-
can't be
yeah,
a
and it's
public. Okay.
yes, that is correct, and they have to be at a certain level of income
Mhm.
where your police officers are most likely not going to
Gotcha.
meet that. Yeah, but
Well, and then I was thinking on the other side of that, if we're able to use it for a fire engine, sorry, chief, um, then we'd be able to use it for patrol cars and safety equipment in that aspect, considering that's servicing our
don't
public the same.
don't
as a
ask me
fire
how
engine.
that works, but for whatever reason, the
Mhm.
fire apparatus
Mhm.
that somebody had a good lobbyist, I think,
Hmm.
got in there where I don't think any other enforcement, public works, I can't buy a grader, I can't buy a police car. It is a fire truck.
A fire engine, that's it.
Yeah, I'll double check all of that, but that's pretty
You
much
lucky chief.
yeah. Like I said, something
Alright.
We can just say that fire are really special people.
yeah,
Right.
and that's one of the ones that's got to be kind of looked at by HCD and goes, but the fire truck for whatever reason is seen as a public infrastructure upgrade is how they categorize it. They don't actually have a vehicle category, but they get it in there somehow. But I'll double check that,
Okay.
Mayor, and see, make sure
Um,
I'm not wrong.
Other than that, though, I really like the idea of a dog park. I would really, really, really love to see a rec center. And I don't know what Orleans cost for them to build that building alone out there. But I think it'd be a great use of those funds for our youth. And I'd really love to see a dog park because I'm tired of going to the Little League fields and finding where people have ran their dogs in the field and stepping in a pile of fresh, Sarge's Stephen pile. So it'd be really great to actually have a place for them to take their animals and have a responsible area. So
And one last thought along parks is outdoor basketball courts. I mean, sadly, the school facilities are usually locked
Mhm.
and there aren't, I think there might be some at Jensen.
there's one hoop there and it looks a little scary.
Yeah.
And it's in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Probably
So-
not the best.
Just again, something that youth can, or an agreement with the schools to unlock their basketball courts.
Yeah, and that's same with the rec center. I mean, it'd just be great to have a place to do some things like that. All right. Well, thank you very much, Joe. That was very informative. I appreciate it. Next up, item 6, public comment and consent calendar forum. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved with a single vote unless removed for separate discussion by the council or city manager. Individuals wishing to speak on consent items or matters not on the agenda are asked to complete a speaker card and submit it to the city clerk. All remarks shall be directed to the mayor and council members and are limited to 3 minutes. By law, the council cannot discuss or take action on items not listed on the posted agenda. We have item 6A, register approval, item 6B, minutes approval, item 6C, facilities use agreement 2026 summer swim program, item 6D, ordinance amendment to Article 3 of Chapter 8.10 of the Willows Municipal Code. And with that, I will leave it to council. Might I have a brain fart on this one?
Mr. Mayor,
Mhm.
if you want us to consider the consent calendar before public comments?
No, sorry, you're
Oh, no,
right.
no.
Is there
I'm
any?
just gonna answer.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Or just to comment, I'm not asking to pull item 6D, but just to comment on item 6D, the proposed abandoned vehicle abatement ordinance. Just want to thank Fire Chief Nate Monk and our Deputy City Attorney Sean Cameron for your outstanding work on this. Very well crafted. Good job. I think you covered pretty much all the angles. I really like the document. So that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you. Is there any public comment on item 6A through D or something not on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I will move it over to the council. Councilmember.
Mr.
Vice Mayor
Mayor, I
Thomas.
have one comment about the item 6D, the ordinance. Item 8.10.250 administrative costs. The ordinance states that the council shall, from time to time, determine and fix the amount assessed as administrative cost under this article. It would seem logical to me that we would consider that cost at the second reading and adoption of this final ordinance.
Chief?
So typically what we've done for administrative costs on enforcement actions like this is we've done 25% as long as I've been here. And that number is the number that I got from Chief Peabody. So I guess, are you asking that we set the percent of admin rate directly in the ordinance?
Well, this is just first reading.
Yeah.
So if it passes tonight, which I assume it will, when it comes back for the second reading, item 810.50, council shall determine and fix an amount to be assessed as an administrative cost.
If I may, typically the administrative fees and costs would be included in the city's master schedule so that it could be updated as part of that process instead of putting it in a specific ordinance.
Because every time we do an ordinance, we have to do a public noticing, a public hearing, 30 day, then it has to do first, second reading and then 30 days.
Well, this
before.
wouldn't be amending the ordinance, would it? It would just be, it says from time to time, determine and fix an amount to be assessed. I just looked at it, it says the council shall. That means we need to establish a fee on the dais here. And I just thought the logical thing to do would be do that at the second reading when it was formally adopted and we put it all away.
Well, the master fee schedule.
If I'm wrong, well,
The master
happy to
fee
be wrong.
schedule's coming forward to the council soon, and I think that would be the time to do that rather than as part of the ordinance read.
all right. As long as we get that, we do what we shall do.
What would the wording need to change in that then if it was going to be just reference the master fee schedule for that instead of saying that it'll be done here by resolution?
Well, typically the master fee schedule is done by resolution. I mean, there is an option that you could also, do a resolution specific for this fee. But I mean, if you have the master fee schedule going, yeah, it would be an amendment to your master fee schedule,
And that's,
Which would be approved by resolution.
which would be approved by resolution.
So it's inferred. So basically the language here is inferring that it's encapsulated by resolution.
That's
in the master.
exactly right. It's inferred that it's through the master fee resolution.
Yeah, that'll be coming
call
on
it,
the
Mr. Mayor.
24th.
Okay.
that's coming on the.
Councilmember Pride?
February.
Yeah,
I don't
Oh,
have
well.
any questions.
Okay.
by resolution.
Busby,
The
any
master
questions?
fee schedule
Nope.
coming back on February 24th.
Councilmember Hanson, any questions?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. I have a question on item 6C as in Charlie. I thought our pool was going to be open this summer. Did that get, did I miss
notified the
that?
council a while ago
Did I miss
that,
that get changed?
yes,
Okay.
that unfortunately, the engineering took so long that by the time we were able to go out to bid with 100% construction drawings, there's just not enough time. In fact, that's, when is that closing?
February 19th.
February 19th, the bid for construction's closing and there won't be enough time to be open and done by June. It probably, right now, it doesn't look like it'll be done until the fall. That was in a biweekly update a while ago.
All right. With that, I'll leave it up to the pleasure of the council.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I have a first. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed 5-0. Next up, item 7A, council correspondence. I have not received any. Arlene, do you have any?
No.
Okay. No correspondence. Item 7B, city council comments and reports. Start with you, Vice Mayor Thomas.
Have no report.
Councilwoman McBride.
I have no report, but just a couple of comments and maybe requests. As we're working on our municipal code update, I do believe there are sections that staff's finalized review and Prentice Long is finalizing review. And I just wanted to request that the council be able to look at those in draft form kind of as they go along so that we're not just hit with one huge bunch of draft code because it'll be very difficult to read it all and really take it all in. So I just personally, that would work much better for me to make sure I'm actually reading it. Secondly, I guess this is a report out. So Councilmember Busby and I met briefly on Monday morning, just Kind of as a follow-up to the presentation at our last meeting on business development, economic development in the city. And I always find it kind of fun when we're sitting here and we're on the same page, but we look at it from different angles. My focus was kind of more about how do we make sure the community is ready for growth? And, and Councilmember Busby, rightly so, is like, if we don't grow and we don't get more revenue, it's going to be a tough road in the future. So in our conversation, I think, and correct me if I don't frame this the right way, we have a public safety committee and we kind of have Matt and I on the city and county's economic development steering committee, which never meets. And so I think proposing that we maybe formalize an economic development committee that meets a little bit more like the finance committee, a little more like the public safety committee, that starts looking at how do we move forward with economic development prior to hiring a position. What, just kind of supporting staff, if you will. What are some roles that we can take on in terms of follow-up, in terms of helping to put some program development together, in terms of charting a path that we want to go down to bring back to the full council. So, we've been meeting very informally just to chat about things, but I was thinking after we met, just formalizing that committee structure a little bit more.
Yeah, I think to couple onto that, I think we've been meeting as an economic development committee just to kind of like try to come up with ways inside of our means to get something accomplished. And, frankly, that's really hard. So I think formalizing a committee that effectively, like, what tools do we have in the toolbox? We don't even know. Let's start putting tools in our toolbox so we know if we do have those conversations, what we can start putting, but start formalizing it and prioritizing it, because frankly, I think at the rate, again, and I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm sorry, at the rate that our expenses are increasing, Measure I is going to zip away in a few years, and we need to start looking at additional ways to generate additional revenue that are not taxes. And that can be a long burn. So the sooner we do this, the better.
And again, it's just kind of positioning to, if we are going to at some point need to fill a position, better articulating what that position would do, kind of just starting to feel it out a little bit while we're getting our feet under it. So that's just something I wanted to bring up for council consideration. And I did want to follow up on the transitional housing, which Joe provided a little bit of that today, just in terms of the city going out, looking at it from an occupancy perspective. And it sounds like they're going to be fine with 6 individuals and a live-in manager. And that's what they're saying the numbers are going to be, is 6 individuals and a on-site manager. Thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Busby?
Nothing to report. I just want to make sure we have our first library board of trustees meeting later this week. And I am now a library trustee, but also the liaison. Just wanted to hey, that's fine. I still report out like normal. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question. On, I mean, I don't think when the council appointed you to that position, we didn't have a conversation about the liaison position. I can certainly bring that back for discussion item and see if the council wants to keep you wearing both hats, or, I mean, there's no reason you can't report out.
No, it's pretty common. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page before anybody said anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can comment at any council meeting as the board member and talk about, just like, other council members comment on LAFCO meetings and water meetings and things like that. I think you could still do the same thing, but now you'd be doing it as a board member. I don't know if the council now wants to eliminate the liaison position though, and not have it be, it's not really needed since council member now sits on the board. So to consider.
I wouldn't think we'd eliminate it. He's not always going to have, at some point in time, he won't be on the library board, and who knows who'll be in that spot. I don't
Yeah, I
think we
think that
should eliminate it.
is closed fine for now.
So I think it's fine for now. Keep reporting.
Report the reports. Councilmember Hanson?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are you sitting down? I'm going to surprise all of you. I have nothing to report. We've how about that? We several meeting cancellations. Surprisingly, it's been refreshing. So anyway, thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Perfect. Thank you. I have a couple of reports to to give out. I did step in for Vice Mayor Thomas for the Public Safety Committee meeting, which was new for me. So thank you for giving me the opportunity, and we'll see where that goes. The other thing that Supervisor Yoder and I did is we went and met with the company that is doing the transitional housing. Sorry, I'm trying to pull up the proper name. Stability Solutions LLC. Thank you. In regards to their transitional housing that they're talking about opening up, it was a sheriff, the supervisor Yoder, and I, and we were able to actually ask some pointed questions and kind of get some feedback on that. It ended up turning out to be a positive meeting. Overall, still some concerns, and obviously those are what we're hoping to try and get together for a town hall, get them down here for a town hall to kind of present on it and answer some of the community's questions and see if we can put some people at ease with that. Because again, we really don't have a say as to whether or not they're able to open their doors or not. But we at least want to make sure that, you know, the community's at least at ease, and the owners, Victoria and Toby, were very open to doing that. And they both seem like genuine people that are just trying to help those in need. And so we're going to keep moving forward with that, I think. And Supervisor Yoder and I are supposed to go actually do a tour of a couple of their current homes that they have up in Red Bluff. We had a scheduling conflict earlier this week, but hopefully next week we'll get something scheduled to be able to go do that tour. But from their slideshow and a couple of their pictures, they seem like they have really strict rules in place. Fix up the houses nicely, and the list of things that they have them doing seems to try and create a positive atmosphere for them to, you know, become educated and productive into society and be able to move into the workplace and things like that. So it seems really good. So hopefully it works out, and hopefully they're able to do that town hall and put some people at ease and be able to show their presentation and make that a little bit better. With that, I think that's all I have. So with that, we will go on to item 7C, City Manager's Report.
Only thing I would like to mention is that myself and Joe Betancourt will be attending the League of California Cities City Manager Conference tomorrow through Friday, and Chief Monk will be the acting city manager.
Okay.
You do
Feeling-
remember that, right?
Feeling a flashback of a chief in a acting city manager role. All right. With that, we will be going on to item 8, closed session pursuant to government code sections 54954.3. The public will have an opportunity to directly address the legislative body on the items below prior to the council convening in a closed session. Public comments are generally restricted to 3 minutes. Item 8A, conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, section code 54956.9 D4, one case. 8B, public employee performance evaluation, section code 54957. Item 8C, liability claim, section code 54956.95. Claimant Nicole Marie Seibert. Am I saying that correctly? And claimed against City of Glen. Is that City of Glen or County
City
of Glen?
Willows.
It's very confusing.
City of Glen?
So
That's accurate. City of Glen.
That's what it states.
That's what the claim states.
Okay. With that, I will open it up to public comment.
There's one other. Did you get the last item?
Oh, sorry. Item 8D, public employee performance evaluation, section code 54957, title City Attorney. With that, is there any public comment? Seeing none, we will go into closed session at 6:44. Perfect. Good evening and welcome back to open session at 8:24. I will have the city attorney give out the report out.
Okay, on closed session item A, conference with legal counsel, initiation of litigation, direction was given, no reportable action. On public employee, number 8B, public employee performance evaluation, title city manager, discussion was had, and no reportable action. On item 8C, liability claim with claimant Nicole Marie Siebert against the city of Glen, Direction was given to reject the claim, and such notice will be sent. Under 8D, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, title City Attorney, discussion occurred and no reportable action.
Perfect. Thank you. And we will close this meeting at 8:25. Have a good evening.